This is a Fox News alert. You're looking live at St. Louis County Police Headquarters, where Chief John Belmar is holding a press conference on the latest developments after 2 police officers were shot early Thursday morning. We'll let you know if there are any developments on the manhunt that's underway. But meanwhile, last night, around 200 people peacefully rallied outside the city's police station. Thankfully, a much smaller and quieter crowd than the night before. Fox's Steve Harrigan was front and center, capturing the raw emotions still present in the community.
We saw a very aggressive manhunt throughout the day today. SWAT team actually going through the roof. Well, you have a mask on, so you're really not one to speak about what's true and what's false. If you want to talk to me, take your mask off, tell me your name, and then let's talk. I don't have a mask on. I'm standing here giving my opinion. That's being a coward. Having a mask on.
What's being a coward is coming into someone's community after a tragedy and assaulting them with your words.
I'm not insulting anybody, and this is my community also.
Steve joins us now from Ferguson. Steve, you've gone there over and over again. You've seen the community. What do you think's happening on the ground tonight?
I think we're probably likely to see some more demonstrations of a small number. We've got a real cold, wet rain that might keep the numbers down. The other thing unusual really last night, we've seen a lot of different tactics from the police. They actually came out the night after 2 policemen were shot without riot gear and dispersed people at about midnight. It was very effective. It took a lot of people by surprise that they'd come out without riot gear and in a very calm manner disperse people.
Steve, so last time there was a couple of day delay, and if I remember correctly, I think it was a Tuesday was the first night, Wednesday was the second night of this the protest. It wasn't until the weekend where things kind of really heated up. Do you expect anything different? Sounds like it was peaceful last night. It was rowdy 2 nights ago, peaceful last night. Do you think they go back to the more outrageous behavior?
I think the fact that these 2 policemen were shot has thrown a wrench into the momentum of the protesters, plus the fact that they've gotten so many of their demands met. We've seen the police chief gone, the city manager gone, a judge gone. I think all these factors together are going to reduce the numbers, but we've seen surprises before, twists and turns, and a crowd can build here very suddenly. But unless we see some dramatic new information perhaps about this shooter, who he is or how he's treated, I think we're going to see the numbers go down at this point, but that's a guess.
Steve, who's taking the lead on this? Is it Ferguson police or is it outside St. Louis County police? Who's out there right now monitoring these protests for the most part?
We've really seen a shift in tactics now to the larger St. Louis County Police, and that's the chief who's giving a press conference now. It's really been a handover from the local Ferguson police to the larger, perhaps better trained, better organized police, and we've seen a change in tactics as well. They were accused of being heavy-handed back in August and then again in November, and now we've seen a different touch with the larger St. Louis County Police who have taken control here now.
Steve, when you talk to these protesters, in terms of actual reform and what they want to see happen, is there an overriding theme or trend that you're hearing?
I think what really has struck me in talking to the protesters is just this surprising gap, just how bad they consider things to be here. I was talking to like a woman in her 40s, African-American woman who works at Busch Stadium, and just for her to say that she didn't consider those 2 white police officers as human beings. I mean, I'm interviewing her. She's articulate. She has a full-time job. She's a middle-aged woman. And just to hear her say that sort of stunned me, that's where she is. And that, you know, as I'm talking to her, I'm just like, whoa.
Steve, after the killings of the New York Police Department officers and then these shootings, everyone's quick to say that these are like bad apples, not representative of the whole, which they don't do when there's a police incident. They tend to indict the entire police force, or the police as a nation force is always indicted. You're there. You're actually in the barrel amongst all the apples. What is the ratio of bad apples to good apples? Are the people that are causing problems just a tiny sliver, or do they make up a larger whole?
You know, it's interesting. I thought I'd go around last night and talk to 10 people on the air, and I'd have 10 people say, oh, these are bad apples. These are not part of the protests. We are completely peaceful. This did not come from us. But I didn't even get that. I got that 50% of the time. The other half of the time was the cops got what they deserved.
Wow.
So there's a large residue, I'm not saying of bad apples, but of people with no empathy towards the policemen in their own community. And that struck me.
That's
of
amazing.
What kind of a situation we have here.
I have a last question for you, Steve, because we know you got some reporting to do, but I was curious about how the misinformation or the spreading of the hands up, don't shoot lie, really, we found out that did not happen, but that became like the symbolism of the movement all across the country. And then the other night, after the shooting, you had Mark Morial suggesting that maybe there was something else here, that perhaps it could have been organized by someone else, maybe that was an inside job by the police force. I mean, what sort of misinformation gets into the community, and after you've not been there for a few months, does that stick over time?
It really does stick, and there's basic facts that are reported on the wires and the news everywhere that people really dispute. The incidents around Michael Brown's death, the incidents about even these police officers. We were in a debate last night with someone who insisted that the bullet was not still lodged in one of the officers' head, which in fact it is. It's right near his ear. He was shot under the right eye. The bullet's still there. So basic facts from back in August to November to now are completely different depending on who you talk to. And some of these protesters just are missing key basic facts of what really has happened.
All right, Steve, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll watch your reporting over tonight and tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.